your brother. Yeah.
I don't know who has that.
So did you hear about the Region Rising
Or
Conference?
how much knowledge we need.
Are you going to be able to attend?
Yes, yes,
I'm sure whatever you're doing is better, more entertaining, or more relaxing. I just think it's hilarious.
sort of. Is everybody ready? Info discussions at the end. Yes. Okay. Good evening and welcome to the November 19th, 2015 Planning Commission meeting for the City of West Sacramento. Per tradition, we begin each meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance, and this evening I would like to ask Vice Chair Ms. Guerrero to lead us. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Before we begin, there are slips of paper on the credenza on the side if you'd like to address the commission this evening. Please hand those slips of paper to Katie over here on the side before the end of the staff presentation. Next is correspondence and staff communications from the Planning Commission Secretary.
Yes, good evening, Chair Liebig. Thank you. Briefly tonight, we should have two memos in front of you from Mr. Laffey. First one regarding agenda item number 2, and then the next one regarding agenda item number 3. We made some quick corrections to the memo regarding number 2, so I do want to make sure that that is in front of all of you tonight. And when we get to those items, Mr. Laffey will reference those in more detail. This concludes staff communications at this time.
Okay. Next on the agenda is disclosure of ex parte communications. Planning commissioners at this time need to disclose any communications they've had with applicants for this evening's meeting. Seeing a lot of head nodding, no's, we'll move on to the consent agenda. Consideration and approval of the minutes from the October 15th, 2015 meeting.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Sternfeld, seconded by Commissioner Guerrero. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none. Any abstentions? No abstentions. Thank you. Okay, moving on to the regular agenda. Item number 2, public hearing regarding the tentative parcel map number 5089 at 3605 Massey Court and 2980 Oates Street in Southport Industrial Park. Mr. Laffey.
Good evening, Chair Liebig and members of the commission. This item is seeking approval of a tentative parcel map to divide a 142-acre lot in SIP, Southport Industrial Park, into 2 buildable lots and 1 remainder lot. One of the lots will be 9.88 acres, and then the other is 22.6 acres, and then also a 8.5 acre remainder on the southern portion. The remainder lot would be non-buildable, and it would need to be mapped in the future. The applicant also owns the lot to the south of this lot, which is also designated remainder. The lot is zoned heavy industrial. It's vacant, relatively flat, and the applicant plans to develop the property with warehouse distribution, buildings very similar to what is out there currently and what's surrounding to the north. You should have a memo before you on this item. The applicant requested some changes to the development engineering conditions, specifically number 7 and 9, that they would be at the time of site development. And there's also a change to condition number 3, further clarifying the condition and when it will occur. This concludes staff's presentation. The city engineer is available to answer questions, as well as the project applicant.
Thank you. Seamus, just to understand, there is no formal presentation for this from the applicant this evening?
There's not.
Okay. At this time, I will open the public hearing. That said, I don't have any requests to speak on this item. But I will take it to commission if you have any questions of staff or applicant. Okay, close the public hearing. thank you for the presentation. I have just one note. David, just in general, I know we had discussed a bridge over in this area, and I know this project would not be affected by that because it is too far to the west. But it just made me think, in future developments in Southport Industrial Park, is there an easement for a road approach for that bridge?
Yeah, we have an IOD, or irrevocable offer of dedication, through Southport Business Park for that bridge that was obtained when the larger subdivision map was done in circa '97, I believe. So that is in place and is our IOD to act on, at such time as we do that bridge.
Okay, wonderful, thank you so much. Okay, with that, I would look for a motion considering changes to the conditions noted in the memo.
Chair Liebig, I move to approve staff recommendation, which includes the modifications presented in the notes dated November 19th from Mr. Laffey.
Second.
Moved by Ms. Austin, seconded by Ms. Temper. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That passes unanimously. Thank you.
Any interested party may appeal the decision of the Planning Commission in this matter to the City Council by filing a written appeal with the city clerk within 10 days of tonight's action, and the appeal must be accompanied by the appropriate filing fee.
Okay, next on the agenda is update on previously approved Reed Avenue Hotel project. Mr. Laffey.
This item is an update to the Reed Avenue Hotel project, or the Reed Avenue, the two hotels, the parcel map. At the July 16th Planning Commission meeting earlier this year, the commission approved 2 use permits for hotels and a tentative parcel map for 3425 Reed Avenue. Condition number 3 of the approval requires the applicant to provide a tree mitigation plan, including a schedule of performance prior to the end of the year. Earlier this week, the applicant provided a draft tree mitigation plan to staff, and the memo in front of you details what was included in this plan. The applicant has made progress in satisfying this condition since the agenda went out, and that the memo details that. The applicant's also looking at modifying the orientation of the second hotel up to the north, but that would require a modification down the line, but just for reference on the site plan, that's why it's orientated differently than what was approved. This concludes staff's presentation. I'm available to answer any questions as well as the applicant.
Okay, I will open the public comment period for this item. I'm guessing you're the applicant and you wish to address. Okay.
Since that July 16th approval date, we've been moving forward, pretty steady stream.
Sir, I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you, but I think we have to wait for your mic to come on. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Yes, we've been progressing with the project and getting the design work done. Of course, as with any project, there's going to be these obstacles and these unforeseen things that come about. So anyway, we finally got a design that would work for parking, reorientation of the second hotel for drainage, and for traffic circulation. So we recently, I believe it was on the 9th, we submitted the first tree plan to Dina Courtney. She came back, we did some revisions, and it's back for the 3rd time. But we're making progress, and I think it'll come to fruition. So Seamus was concerned with what the timeline was running, and so I guess we're here to just address that. That's it.
Okay. Well, thank you.
Any questions?
Are there any questions of Mr. Jenkins? No? Thank you so
Okay.
much.
Thank you.
And thank you, staff, for the update.
Actually, I just had a quick question.
Let him get all the way back. Okay.
When are you expecting the project to be complete, like for the first hotel?
We're looking at hopefully April of 17 to have our first guest.
Right.
And of
Good.
any note, Marriott did a calculation of the tax revenue for the city of West Sacramento. At 80% occupancy, it's $553,000 a year for the first hotel at 96 rooms. So it's a good project for all.
Great, well, good luck and thanks for the update.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Jenkins. I will go ahead and close the public comment period.
Just to confirm, there's no recommended staff recommendations, or just review and comment?
Yeah, we were not requesting any action tonight. We wanted to bring this forward to get this update, and if any changes were necessary, we would bring that at the next meeting before the end of the year.
Okay, thank you. Is there any additional information you're looking for from the commission this evening?
No, this is good, thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. Moving to item number 4 on the agenda, update on development and infrastructure projects north of the Deep Watershed Canal. Also, Mr. Loppe. Busy guy tonight.
So for this item, I have a map up there, and I'll just kind of go around, kind of touch on each one, just go the highlights. So to start out, Smart Growth Investors, they're moving on to their phase 2. They got the map for their townhomes at the northeast side, and they got the building permit. They're currently going through plan check for that right now. And then also to the west of that, where they got the map, they are in the process of planning that as well. They're looking to do a 3 to 4 story apartment building there. So they have 22 townhomes in the works, and they also have to the west of that another 3 to 4 story apartment building. Further north in the Bridge District, the Unger family submitted plans for a 273-unit, 5-story residential project. That project is currently going through design review right now. I'm just wrapping that up. And that is the area in yellow right there, number 3. And that's going to have an urban beach. It'll have retail along the street and townhomes along the northern side.
Mr. Laffey, number 2 was the barn. Did I miss the update on that, or are you
Oh,
getting
no,
to
I'm
it?
just kind of going around touching up
Okay.
on all of them. The barn, they're continuing to build it. No estimated completion date right now. It's, I don't have too much to add to the barn.
Only to say it doesn't look anything like a barn. To say the least.
Do we anticipate them coming forward with a conditional use permit, or when it's completed for the programming?
The
Or is
barn-
it just allowable?
No, we did the use permit for the barn last summer, like summer 14, I believe, July 14 or thereabouts. I remember it was, Sandra White worked on that one, so I know it was before last December. She retired, but it was,
can't remember
believe it
back
was
that
around
far.
June, July last summer, but we did do a use permit for the barn already.
Thank you.
So for number 4, for streetcar, the downtown riverfront streetcar environmental documentation approval and engineering continues to move forward. On June 22nd of this year, the public review period closed on the environmental review process. SACOG certified the environmental assessment initial study at their August meeting to finalize the CEQA process. The project is currently awaiting FTA issuance of a finding of no significant impact to finalize the national, or the NEPA process before the end of 2015. And the city of Sacramento is considering establishment of a benefit assessment district to fund their $30 million share of the project.
Could I ask a quick question about that?
Yeah, absolutely. That's-
A question about the route. Is the proposal going to eliminate the median in Tower Bridge Gateway?
The streetcar, would be in the center of the Tower Bridge. Let's imagine it coming, westbound toward our city. As it gets to the 3rd Street intersection, it ducks through the intersection to go right around the north side of Rayleigh Field. And then ultimately comes back out into Tower Bridge Gateway to go around what's now known as Grand and Tower Bridge Gateway. So it's sort of a mixed flow through that area. Some portions of that median, may come out for those tracks. But in some cases, it's curb adjacent, in some cases, it's in the median. It's all about how it flows from the Tower Bridge, and the Tower Bridge operations is really the key on that.
Thank you.
Number 5, Delta Lane. It's currently under construction and is expected to be completed by late 2016. What's under construction right now is the first phase, which is for 77 affordable units. The entire project includes 175 units, and the city is committed to develop all the units by March 2019. So number 6, Rayleigh's Landing. This is a planned development. So there are 2 remaining lots, River 1 and River 2. And then if any development happens, it would need to conform with the PD. Number 7, Allura. The modified tentative subdivision map application has not yet been deemed complete, and it is anticipated that the project will proceed to Planning Commission for approval in the coming months. And for this one, the applicant is currently requesting a minor modification to an existing tentative subdivision map that divides 6 lots into 2.74 acres into 68 single-family lots. Number 8, the firehouse. This project is a partnership with the city and DNS to restore, renovate, and rehabilitate the old firehouse, including remodeling the interior to adaptively reuse the building as a restaurant. That includes outdoor seating on both the 1st and 2nd floors. And they got their building permit, and they're starting that. So the next one it's actually, it got flip-flopped. So it says C Street Bridge, but the body of the text is Broadway in the agenda report. So I guess I can talk about the C Street Bridge, which is on the next page. So sorry for the confusion about that.
How did that happen?
So the C Street Bridge estimated completion is 2020. That's replacement for the I Street Bridge. The C Street Bridge will be to the north of the existing I Street Bridge. Environmental analysis for the C Street Bridge continues, and it is anticipated that the draft EIS will be completed before the close of summer 2016. The 4th Street subdivision map. This was approved by Planning Commission in August 2014. To date, the applicant has not yet completed the final map process. The project consists of 17 single-family lots and 5 2-unit lots on a less than an acre on 4th Street between B and C Street. That's number 10 up there. Number 11, B Street West, Project Good. This was an old map from, I believe, 2007, and it stalled out with the recession. It just got picked up by Bartas Homes. They bought the remaining lots, and they plan to submit building permits in the spring. The Washington Sustainable Community Strategy document. This is a document for the entire Washington neighborhood. The document is comprised of 2 strategies, including a transit-oriented development strategy addressing issues for solutions related to infrastructure deficiencies, transit needs, regulatory barriers, infill opportunities, neighborhood preservation and zoning for densities to support future transit, as well as a complete community strategy for affordable housing, park and recreational opportunities, and access to employment for residents of the predominantly low-income district.
Could you talk, I don't know, you or Mr. Tilley, could you talk a little bit about the purpose of this document? Because there's kind of a greater planning purpose, right? Like what you're,
Yes, this was what was produced after we received a fairly large grant from HUD called the Sustainable Communities Challenge Grant. What this document will do is really serve as the basis for a comprehensive update to the specific plan in that area that will start, sometime probably, hopefully early next year. So this is sort of provide the overall guiding policy to how we're going to update that specific plan, but there remains a lot of work to be done. A lot more detail, needs to go in it to make the specific plan, something we can really work with and implement on a day-to-day basis in that area. A big example, 2 big examples that we'll need to flesh out on that will be historic preservation, and also architectural guidelines, for that neighborhood that really the current plan is a little bit lacking on. So this was it's about a 2-year effort. We completed early this year. And so when we get going on the plan update, that will certainly be something that will be before the Planning Commission on probably several occasions as we begin that update process.
thank you.
All right, so I'll zoom out here. Number 13, The Rivers is a planned development in the northeast part of the city. In October, Wolf Enterprises submitted an application for design review for a 406-unit apartment complex located within the Rivers. It's on the southern portion of the planned development area on 17.7 acres. The project consists of 18 3-story apartment buildings with tuck-under garages, 16 2-story carriage buildings, and a clubhouse.
I also don't mean to put you on the spot, and it's fine if maybe this is something that we can bring up at another meeting, but is it possible for either of you to address some of the public discourse that has gone on between the developer and the school that proposed site? Are you familiar with this?
Yes, I am familiar with that matter, and that
I
is
don't know if
a-
you can address
It
this
is an
right now.
ongoing
Okay.
matter at the moment. May want to watch the next city council meeting.
Okay, thank you. That'll do.
Number 14, the Bright Tennis Subdivision map. In December 2014, the Planning Commission approved the map for 20 lots on Bright Avenue. To date, the applicant has not submitted plans for the final map. And then 15 is the Rita Avenue Hotels. That came before in July. And that was the previous item. Number 16, the Stone Wireless Facility. Epic Wireless submitted an application on December 14th for an 85-foot monopine wireless facility at the corner of Stone and Seabrian. The application is not yet complete. It should be coming before you in the next few months.
Just another question, is the applicant entity in any way related to one of the applicants we've seen in the last couple of months? Or is it, do you know, is it totally different?
Epic Wireless submitted applications for wireless facilities throughout town just recently, but they weren't, not the same applicant.
It's a different company.
No, they haven't brought anything before the planning commission previously, to my knowledge.
Thank you.
And then number 17 is the Broadway Bridge, which you gotta flip back. So West Sacramento and Sacramento City staff will be using the month of November to conduct a full review of the draft Broadway Bridge feasibility study. The final draft will be presented to the West Sacramento City Council in December for final comments and council acceptance. The Broadway Bridge feasibility study was funded through the Sacramento, or SACOG, Regional Funding Program in the amount of $500,000, including local matching grants. An additional $1.5 million in federal funding was awarded last September to the city of West Sacramento under the Tiger 6 discretionary grants program. So for a total of $3 million in funding. So this bridge is, it'll connect with 15th Street with Broadway. And the estimated completion is 2026. So that concludes staff's presentation. If you have any questions. I can-
One question about the Tiger grant for the Broadway Bridge. So it's a planning grant. Do either of you know if that in any way gives us some sort of leg up on priority on future funding opportunities for implementation because we got a planning grant, or?
Presumably so, especially if we perform on that grant, on time, which we certainly will. And, this is all about demonstrating feasibility to get to the point where you can, then secure funding. This bridge is a little ways off, the C Street Bridge will definitely be here, before this one, but, this is not a new idea, it's been talked about for a long time, but we do appear to be on the path to having that bridge there.
Thank you.
Seamus, I have a couple just notes and maybe a question or two. On the rivers, I was a little surprised to see that all of those buildings will be apartments. I'm not sure I was aware of that, and that's partly my fault for not keeping up to development with that development over the past few months. I'm not sure the community was expecting. They were
Yeah,
all
there is
two
additional land in there for, that will be, additional single-family units, within the rivers. This is two sites, I think, on either side of Fountain Drive, where this Wolf project is proposed. But this is only a portion of the overall Phase 2 of the Rivers project, so there's more to come.
Right, and that was going to be my other note is, there's actually already map pulled, I believe it's an old map.
Yeah, there is an
EIR.
approved map up there, and so they've taken some of it, the final map, to get some of these larger lots. The infamous Lot 504, which is involved with the school that Ms. Austin, referenced earlier. So this is in the RD and the RE sub-area of the rivers. I know that may not, probably doesn't mean a lot, but there are several sub-areas within the overall rivers development, and these are both set up intended for multifamily development in varying densities, but there's still basically the former golf course area that's still largely going to be single-family.
Right, so there's a lot more coming there. And then across the street is the California Indian Heritage Museum location, which right now is going to be an urban urban farm, thank you, it's not a garden.
Yes.
For
Big
a little
garden.
while, and they'll have activities there until they can raise money to actually build the
Yeah.
museum.
It is a state parks project.
Yeah, part of the state parks system. That was it. I just wanted to make sure that we were aware of those, because those two developments are pretty big for that one little corner.
Mr. Chairman? If I might, I noticed that all these projects that you're bringing forward or we're talking about are all apartments, as our chairman kind of mentioned. I mean, are we going to have a say on when the apartments stop and when we actually have construction of something other than that? Do we have a say in that?
Well, the apartments are proposed for zones that allow apartments. Younger family on the waterfront.
So there's no say in it. They can build apartments if they want to. It just seems like at some point, you know, you're gonna have such a terrible influx of apartments. I mean, everything down around the ballpark is all apartments. We have no permanent housing being built, you're saying.
There's attached and detached single-family homes, both
I was
proposed.
just reading what he said. I mean, it says Unger Apartments,
Yeah.
Gateway
For-
Apartments.
Yeah, those are apartment projects, correct, and this Fulcrum, you know, has, that
Fulcrum's
second
got
phase of,
apartments.
they have apartments, and they also have their second phase of for sale, you know, townhomes, you know, going in there as well. That map came to the planning commission this summer,
Right.
as I recall. I mean, really, this is a, you know, a market, you know, decision, and, you know, the Younger project and some of these others,
Good, Fourth Street, Elora, these are, there's a lot of single-family being proposed.
yeah, it's, you know, completely market-driven right now, and it seems like apartments are, you know, doable right now in the urban areas. Nobody's talking about any type of condos, you know, attached for sale type stuff, you know, yet. You know, that's really sort of the next, you know, milestone we want to be able to get to, but no one's even doing that really kind of in the region at this stage, unfortunately.
Well, and I mean, I'm looking forward to seeing, when Gateway, because those are low-income apartments.
Yeah, that is an affordable project,
And
correct?
affordable
Yes.
apartments. And, you know, the last ones we built down by Johnny's Time Out and stuff, they couldn't fill them at all. They had to go advertise outside the city to get people to come into them. Hopefully, you know, there's a better plan going than that, because that doesn't seem like what we're trying to do, is bring people in from other areas just to fill the apartments. That's kind of why I was asking if we have a say in the apartments, because if there's not a need, I question why we're doing it.
Yeah, I mean, these are big projects, you know, they're gonna be market-driven, and if there's a market for them, they'll be able to get the financing and build them. It does seem like a lot of apartments, you know, sort of all at once.
Yeah,
But, you know, this is, you know, they're progressing, but, you know, they're still a long ways from, you know, coming out of the ground, too. So,
that's true. It's just a comment. And I guess my other comment that I don't quite understand what we're doing is we're still doing a lot of work on the little rail car thing.
streetcar.
Streetcar, yeah. If Sacramento turned it down in their vote, which they did, are we putting forth a huge effort in that until we know what they're going to do?
They turned down their tax.
The tax.
The
yeah,
tax
the
to
citizens
fund-
in that area turned down the idea of it, so they have to come up with a new plan, but they haven't at this point, that I'm aware of. I haven't read of anything.
Well, yeah, they are working on an alternative financing plan, you know, for their, you know, their portion of it. This project remains an important project for the city and for Sacramento, and it's in the MTP. A lot of our planning documents are built around having that streetcar in place, so it does remain a priority for us. But this Sacramento needs to, you know, make headway on this alternative financing scheme to sort of complete the puzzle.
Right.
We remain optimistic that that will happen, and you'll see the streetcar in place maybe 2020, plus or minus.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions, comments? Thank you, Seamus. Thank you, David. The two presentations combined, south of the port and north of the port, were, I think, extremely valuable. And for me, it's, well, somewhat disappointing to see some projects drop off, but that's what happens over time, as we have timelines on some of our projects. And there were a couple from LJ Urban, who's also, they're no longer existing, that had been purchased, but it seems that those approvals are now outdated. So I'd be looking forward to seeing those projects come back forward, however. So, okay, with that, I'll move on to informal discussion.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to recognize Planning Commissioner Bernadette Austin and congratulate her for her achievement. With the Urban Land Institute, she received the Member Achievement Award. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
It was very nice to have the support of some of our local folks there. So we had Mr. Tilley, Mona, was it Ibrahimi, and Councilmember Sandine. So that was great. It was quite an honor, and it was lovely. And I think I'd like to also say that the person who presented the award was last year's member achiever, and he actually said from the podium, Wesak Besak, which got both scoffs and huge applause. So it was really excellent. I think we really represented our city well.
That's great.
Thank you.
Congratulations. And on sadder note, I would like to close this meeting in memory of William Lowell. He's a longtime member of the community and asset to our community. He's made a reputation for working to make this community a better place. So with that, I move we close this meeting.